Right, so hopefully you're now comfortable with those 6 shapes. You know, the 3 on each string set. The hard part is obviously applying them to different chords. I just showed you it in relation to a G chord, but that's not going to make you a song, is it? You need to begin to start trying to apply them to other chords. The best way to do that is to just take a chord progression, you know, and apply different triad shapes to it. This can be quite difficult because even experienced guitarists are more comfortable on the finding the notes up and down the neck on the E and the A string. Once you start getting to the high strings, it does get a little bit more difficult to locate those chord tones. So a good way to actually just familiarise yourself with the triad shapes is to just relate them back to the root to a lower note where the root is. So for example, this first inversion of G that I showed you, this shape, you relate that back to the G there, and that's actually like a C shape. The same applies to this one. That'd be if you can figure out that'd be a root there, so you're actually playing a D chord there, but it's your A shape. And just take that, and for example, these shapes up here, you relate that back to there, 2 frets lower, you know, the D shape. That's your root, so there. That's your root, so you know that it's a G. So in relation to the intro example that I showed you, that's just basically taking a G, D and A chord progression and just playing around with the triads, and just it's basically just a way to get used to playing the shapes in different positions. So that example, it begins there. You can add that little hammer on if you like, you don't have to. And that is obviously your C shape. And then you go into the D. Oh, yeah, the D. And that's your A shape. So you've got... find it quite easy just to play that with a first finger bar. And then if you look at where your nearest A chord is playing triads, you find that it's right there on the same fret. That's in relation, so you can relate that to your bar chord there. So you've got same again, but this time we're going to play that A in a different triad shape. So you could play it there. Again, that's your A note there. So your C shape. So those two together are just... and then we're going to repeat the first one again. And then now we're going to play it on the rooting from the G string. So you could play that one there. Again, you can relate that to your G bar chord there. You've got this shape here. That relates to your D there again. And then you've got that D shape. So if you go 2 frets lower, that's your A there. And then again, the next section is just basically taking that chord progression and playing it as many different positions as you can. So you've got the one you already know, but then also play the A there instead, rooting from the G string on the 6th fret there, and same again. And then we'll find it somewhere different this time, so you could use a D shape there, the G, and then that shape again for the D. So you've got there. Same again, the first one. This time we're going to play that A shape up at the 12th fret. So you've got a G triad. I showed you that earlier. And then you've got D, first inversion, so you're starting there on the 11th fret on the G string with that little bar on your first finger on the 10th fret, and then to that D position for the A, and then back to that first one, and then finally, so those two are the same as before, but then up to that A position there. So you've got A, right, so if we join all that together, the intro riff should sound a little bit like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll notice in the intro example I also added a little bit of a there. That's just you can play around with that if you like, you know, just hammering on, because triads are quite useful for hammering on between shapes. That example isn't the most musical of pieces. It's just a way of demonstrating how you can apply all the shapes to a simple chord progression. It's good for you to have a go at that as well, so to try and take any chord progression and play around with the different shapes. You don't have to do that intro example the same way I did it. Play around with it. The next lesson on minor triads will demonstrate a few more musical approaches of how to add a bit more stylistic interest to playing triads. There are certain things you can do to make them a lot more interesting, and also, if you check out the song lessons on the Chord Guitar website, there are a lot of triads in some of those songs, and it'll demonstrate good ways of playing them. So have a play around with those chords and join us for the next lesson on the minor triads. Cheers.